power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
When people are fed, futures are nourished. They can connect with the world around them, unlock endless possibilities, and thrive. Join the movement to end hunger. Volunteer. Advocate. Donate. Go to feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Hello this evening, it's 6 o'clock, and thank you for joining us for Mississippi Live Weather at 6 on this cloudy, dreary, and well, thankfully cooler beginning to the work week. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Loppon, alongside, as you can see over there, our meteorologist Gabe Maynor. And Gabe, we're obviously looking at this trend toward cooler temperatures and how long it'll last, but we're also looking a lot farther than that at the extended forecast, right?
Yeah, I mean, the tropics are definitely getting a bit more interesting. A slow start to the season, now starting to ramp up, but are we going to see any effects here in Mississippi? That's the golden question, and I think that our outlook looks pretty good for the next couple of days. So great sign going forward.
Absolutely, but it could get a lot more active in the extended forecast.
Sure.
That's what our meteorologist Gabe Maynor will be looking at in more detail coming up here in a couple minutes as we look ahead toward the very latest on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. What we're also kind of concentrating on, obviously for us, is the cooler temperatures, and we want to know how long that's going to last. Well, certainly out there this afternoon and evening, we have had those temperatures that are cool with very few complaints. And cool maybe is over explaining things just a little bit here in the Room to Room Weather Center, but anytime you're only 70s at 4 and 5 p.m. like we have been today, I think that kind of counts for this time of the year, and certainly compared to last week. Spotty rain chances are possible in the extended forecast, but more significant heat is ahead as we're likely pushing again above the triple-digit point for those heat indices as we look toward the extended forecast. Though clouds obviously the story and have held temperatures down. Only 77 the high temperature Tupelo and Starkville since midnight today. Of course, 70s back to the east. A lot of cloud cover, a lot of moisture that way kind of wrapping in. That's the reason why we have stayed cool to this point, but 90s back in the Delta showing it's not for everybody as you've transitioned in Jackson and Greenville about 5 degrees or so higher than we were 24 hours ago. Most of the eastern part of the state certainly with the biggest drop since yesterday because of those clouds and how many of those that we have seen. And really kind of depends on where you're at, but a lot of us locked in. Like for example, Amory at 77 degrees. Our North Mississippi Storm Chasers sky cam there again with fairly calm winds and zero complaints from folks at home, at least certainly in the chat and when we've had those discussions online. Pontotoc also coming in around 77 degrees at this instant, though a little bit more of a breeze showing up about 7 miles per hour there. Again, that cloud cover works to block in, works to insulate us at night, typically holds temperatures a little more mild at night, and then during the afternoon when we have it, it blocks out that sunlight and makes it to where it's a little cooler, and certainly been the case in Caledonia as well, where we're 78 degrees at this instant. In all of those cases, feels like heat index temperatures around the 80-degree point. In the Delta, they have been hotter. We were looking at Greenville and Greenwood last hour, both with heat indices up in the mid-90s, so it has not been for everybody. Where you have had more sunshine, obviously temperatures have been hotter. We'll be 82 degrees at 7 p.m., 73 as we look toward 10. Of course, a little warmer in the Delta, and rain chances remain very spotty. Our Futurecast does show a few of those out there. We'll look at that in a moment, but we're not impressed by what we're seeing as far as tonight is concerned. 70 by 1 o'clock in the morning, and then into the upper 60s as we look toward early tomorrow. Maybe some mid-60s out there for beginning temperatures. We should be around 72 for our 30-year average, so that's an improvement for sure. We do have this disturbance down closer to the coast. That's produced some rainfall down there, again, south of Jackson, closer to Hattiesburg for folks that might be still at the coast for one reason or another. Some moisture inbound from this. Not tropical in nature, other than the fact that it's more warm, humid air, but the tropics are going to get a lot more active. And that is one thing that we are looking at on kind of the wider shot here is we do have Dexter out there in the Atlantic, but it's staying out to the east of us. And so we're largely dominated by just that cloud cover and moisture associated with that flare-up you see back out there toward Atlanta, Georgia. So looking at our Futurecast for this evening, again, that's where the rainfall is, back with that. This brown line you see are kind of general trough of low pressure, an area that's not really a front. We don't really have the temperature contrast that is causing the moisture, but it's just kind of an area of convergence and lift. And so that's what's helping to produce some of those showers. Certainly closer to that down in South Mississippi, those chances of rainfall a lot more likely back out there into Georgia and South Carolina. So we find ourselves just a little north of that and in the drier side of things as we progress throughout tomorrow morning and throughout much of your Tuesday. Rain chances do get a little bit better in the extended, but not impressed largely, meaning probably should be adding moisture yourself. You want to make sure those flowers or gardens stay in good shape because Mother Nature has not done a great job recently. It's why, unfortunately, that drought continues to expand, though still limited at this time. So from 68 in the morning, we're 76 by 9 a.m., 83 as we head toward noontime, with very limited rain chances tomorrow afternoon. We're going 87 for the high temperature by around 3 to 4 o'clock, with, I think, well, some upper 80s out there, obviously, and a few spots in excess of 90 degrees. Coming up at 60 seconds, I'll have the very latest look at Futurecast and some of those rain chances as we look ahead toward what is more often than not going to be a dry and eventually warming week as Mississippi Live Weather at 6 continues in a couple moments.
At Absolute Restoration, our team will feel magical since our focus is on serving you and your roofing needs. Finding a roofer who actually shows up and communicates, that's just one of the problems we solve by informing you of every step in the process.
Selling premium roofing systems backed by warranties and payment plans starting at just $99 per month. Trust Absolute Restoration to deliver.
Experience unicorn-level service and affordability from a team your community trusts. Call Absolute Restoration today.
Your family deserves the most beautiful smile possible. At Tupelo Smiles, we use precision dentistry and advanced technology to make visiting the dentist an amazing experience. Relationship-based comprehensive care. Come discover the difference at Tupelo Smiles.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. Prediabetes does. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test today. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Laubheim.
Dry this weekend for pretty much everybody in Mississippi that can watch us here on Mississippi Live Weather, and we appreciate all of you for doing that. And we know some folks do watch from outside the area. We're still primarily covering just the northern part of the state. We do anticipate that could expand some eventually, but again, honing in on this portion of the state at this point, very little precipitation over the last 2 days for any locations here back through at least Saturday. Not a lot of meaningful moisture, certainly Friday or today, Sunday or today as well. And when we look over the next couple of days, we do expect to have rain chances remain still pretty spotty. They get slightly better as we head arguably into your Wednesday, but even then we're only 30% on that coverage. That means the vast majority of us get left out over the next 7 days. Are there chances there? Yes. But you probably should be watering yourself if you plan on keeping those plants alive. And hopefully Mrs. Lawpon hears that eventually. I'll have to maybe remind her person to person on that one there. But yeah, we're expected to stay dry, and that does mean mainly dry again for the kids on your school bus forecast on your Tuesday. 69, that pickup temperature will be upper 80s by afternoon. Luckily not as blistering hot as we were for the kids or everybody last week. That has been the improvement despite the fact that temperatures will increase day by day. From 69 in the morning, will be 83 by lunchtime tomorrow. Our winds remain out of a northeast direction, that one that doesn't exactly pump up the temperatures, does it? So this time of year, anytime we kind of get a northeast wind, a lot of times that is a less humid air, and so that will help to probably dry us out a little bit. But in general, yeah, we're still running below that 30-year average by about 3 to 5 degrees in some spots. Macon, locked in the cloud cover. Big part of the reason why. 75 right now down there in Noxubee County. Those winds out of the east at about 9 miles per hour, so not a lot of wind movement. And obviously, as you can see there, the radar scope dry in the Noxubee County area. We do have the clouds breaking up a little bit more and temperatures slightly warmer as a result. 81 degrees right now in Oxford, a northerly wind about 7 miles per hour. Feels like temperature, only adding a single degree there. Kind of a pretty shot. Hopefully makes for some pretty sunset pictures that maybe hopefully you'll send in as we go into this evening using the Mississippi Live Weather app. We'd love to, of course, see those pictures, love to show those. In Kosciuszko, again, cloudy, 75. We don't get to show these kind of shots very often this time of year. That's why we want to feature all these great North Mississippi Storm Chasers cameras. But we do have the WASPs. And one of the interesting things I've noticed as far as that's concerned, it seems like the more cameras we get, the more Do you call wasps wildlife? I guess we'll call that wildlife or animal sort of bug pictures that we do get there. Hey, you know what? Even they can enjoy getting outside and doing something when it's as nice as it is out there. This is a 6-hour loop here on our visible satellite picture. You can see the different layers here going on as we're kind of locked in with that lowest layer. You can see even the ripples making up that low stratus layer of clouds that we do have. But note as you look at the kind of western edge there, how that kind of slowly gets eroded eastward. It has not been a quick progression, only really maybe moving about 10 to 15 miles there in some spots. So that's what's kept us locked in the cooler. And if you've been out here in the Delta today, you know that all of the stuff I'm saying about cooler doesn't apply to you because it's been upper 80s to low 90s. No precipitation coming really from any of this cloud cover as we are dry on those latest scans of Mississippi Live Weather Radar at this instant. There's just nothing out there. You might ask, why are we using the one in Memphis? Still some work being done on the Monroe County radar site there. Hopefully that'll be up and going. Luckily, this is a day where we can kind of get away with that not being a huge issue. So Futurecast, mostly dry into this evening. It is aggressive on depicting a couple of isolated showers out there. I'll be honest, I don't know that I'm convinced we're going to see hardly anything, but not impossible to get something to pop up tonight. But I think most of us should stay dry. As we go beyond 11:30 to midnight or so, again, if we're to see something most likely where we've had a little bit of clearing out in the Delta, but again, even there, we're probably less than 10% on that rain coverage and dry into the first part of early morning on your Tuesday. Tuesday starts off at 69 degrees in Cleveland and Greenwood. Anytime this time of year that we are below the 72 degrees we should be to start the day, it's a blessing. And so certainly the case again for tomorrow will be 67 in Amory, 65 degrees Hamilton, 64 for Red Bay, and about 65 for Boonville and Iuka. As we progress into your Tuesday, we should hopefully have more sunshine, though Futurecast may be a little aggressive on the clearing there. If assuming we get these mostly clear skies, that will help us to maybe pop up that rogue storm or two. But again, we're dry as we look through 10:30, 11 o'clock to noon time on your Tuesday. As we head into the afternoon, again, partly cloudy skies, a few of these getting a little taller as we look out closer to Shelby and Cleveland. You notice that then results in some of those isolated storms out near the Mississippi River, north and west there of the Greenville area in particular. But for most of us in the northeast part of the state, you can see keeping us mostly clear even through 6 to 7 p.m. on your Tuesday. Highs with more sunshine, temperatures increase. But notice the contrast here. We show 81 Red Bay, 87 Tupelo, 90 Grenada and Kosciuszko. So that's kind of us hedging our bet on, does some of that cloud cover still linger farther east? If it does, it holds the temperatures down. So that means it's a slim hope, but it's still a hope that maybe some of us have maybe not quite as cool as today, but cooler temperatures yet again for tomorrow. I mean, considering it'll be August 5th, that's not something we have very often. So that's always kind of a risk to go with temperatures that cool, but it's possible we keep some of those near the Alabama state line a little cooler again tomorrow. Hey, we're at 8 p.m. here on your Tuesday. We are dry. We are dry through 10 p.m. to midnight or so with a few showers out to the east of us. That kind of has been the zone where the more active weather has been projected as we again still have this low pressure center down toward the coast and still that trough in place that has some showers associated with that. So that's where the majority of our rainfall stays even in the first part of your Wednesday. As we progress toward Wednesday midday and in the afternoon, a couple little spotty showers trying to pop up. But once again, you'll notice the vast majority of us, we are dry, and that means you or I or somebody else needs to be watering the garden because Mother Nature is not planning on it. It's been pretty spotty recently. I know at my house we've had very, very little, and I think in many cases that has been the case. But certainly it's not going to change as we go into this week. Honestly, our chances for rainfall, as you can see, much more limited than they were even last week, and they weren't particularly great then. So 92, the high temperature in Grenada, 94 degrees in Greenwood and Belzona, coming about 93 for high temperatures on your Wednesday. We'll go 89 in Tupelo, 84 Red Bay there, and Iuka coming in around 85 degrees or so. Will be 89 for that heat index there, with closer to the triple-digit mark for those heat indices out here for Greenville, for Cleveland coming in 97 on your Wednesday afternoon. Again, most likely to be completely sunny, more likely to have some of those clouds that linger, and that is that east to west difference there as far as temperatures are concerned. We're 30% best case scenario on those rain chances by your Wednesday afternoon. 89 degrees, the high temperature. Again, most of us are still probably dry. We're 91 as we look toward Thursday, and 92 by Friday. The heat indices for most of us are now by that point up there into the middle 90s. And as we look toward this upcoming weekend, rain chances get a little better, but even then, again, spotty at best. So as far as heavy, meaningful, widespread rainfall, we don't have any of that in this 7-day forecast. It will take something probably more significant before that happens. And that is one of the things that our meteorologist Gabe Maynor is looking at as we go inside the forecast here in a couple minutes. He's looking ahead at the tropics. We have Dexter out there now, but what could happen beyond that as Mississippi Live Weather at 6 continues right after this.
Here is your opportunity to add 2 beautiful guns to your collection and support scouting. Scan the QR code to purchase your chance to win a Browning Citori 725 Sporting Maple over and under 12 gauge shotgun or a 75th anniversary Boy Scout commemorative Winchester Model 9422 rifle. Support the Natchez Trace Council Scouts with your raffle entries today.
As a nurse, I've seen a lot of people with sleep deprivation. It affects their job, their home life. At Room to Room, we want to take the guesswork out of buying a mattress, and that's why we brought in this technology. It shows you what you need. We want to do the assessment and find exactly what's perfect for you.
Oh, we're over here. I apologize.
Oh, I programmed that backward for you. Go ahead.
Well, hey.
Hop in.
That's the thing about live TV. We can get back on there real quick. So I'm going to actually stand on this side of your screen because what we've been tracking is the tropics. And you can see really ramping up there on the Atlantic coast, just off the coast of Virginia, let's see, New Jersey, and over there towards New York. That's Dexter, as you can see on your screen. A lot of that just bubbling up, showing that this is still a pretty intense storm. As of right now, currently sitting at about tropical storm strength. But as that moves north and east over the coming days, does have the potential, not expecting it to reach as high as maybe even a low end count 1. So we're watching that into the oncoming days, but really expected to remain tropical storm strength. Not exactly an ideal circumstance as it moves further north and east, but the good thing with our forecast is it's moving away from the United States. So we're not going to see any impacts here in the U.S., fortunately, so we really dodged a bullet with that one. But this is just the first of several disturbances that we've been watching in the Atlantic coast. Let's go ahead and take a look at the National Hurricane Outlook. As you can see on your screen, that low-end development there on the Atlantic coast, there towards the Carolinas and Georgia, and then this more medium-end development that we're watching come off the coast of Africa and then riding right across the central Atlantic, keeping a lot of eyes on that one because that extended forecast, some of those models are very aggressive on some of that development. Let's go ahead and talk about the first disturbance, and this is the one that's out in the Atlantic right now. 30% chance of development over the next 7 days, 0 over the next 2, so not exactly expecting significant impacts with the system, but even if it were to not develop into a tropical system necessarily, still having that low pressure in the Atlantic circulates in a little bit of that moisture there towards South and North Carolina, so going to see some significant rainfall outputs whether this develops or not. So keeping eyes on that. But let's go ahead and jump into the other disturbance that we're tracking out in the Atlantic. 50% chance of development over the next 7 days. To give you perspective, yesterday evening at 10 o'clock, it was at 30. So we've steadily rose in regards to those percentage chance of development. And that's because confidence is starting to climb on some of those long track outlooks, especially as this goes into the oncoming days. So not expecting anything now, but will happen very soon as we head over the next week to really 2 weeks. So as of right now, here's where we sit. August 9th, your Saturday, 6 p.m. We're going to walk through that extended forecast. And you can see that as we head further into the forecast, we are going to get some of that development primarily happening back there towards the southern end of Florida. That starts to move inland just a bit, and that could produce some of that tropical moisture. But paying attention out there in the Atlantic as we head further into our August 12th, August 13th, and August 14th, you can see that we are going to get some of those storms that try to move in just a bit more into the Gulf possibly. And this is where I'm going to bring in our Chief Meteorologist, Matt Laupon, to walk through a bit more on this forecast, because this is definitely a forecast to keep an eye on.
Okay, so here's the deal. This area of the Atlantic, obviously very warm,
yes,
right? We call this portion that extends kind of back to the east there, kind of the intertropical convergence zone, right? Mm-hmm. And so we tend to get storms that develop down here this time of year. So it is not shocking for us to have modeling that takes into effect, you know, the climatological expectations to see storms develop. So yes, not at all shocked. And a lot of times this time of year, we're going to be showing you more of these projections. They're going to have death, doom, and gloom, and destruction that never happens. There's a pretty good chance most of the time what it starts developing when you get beyond 8 to 10 days out doesn't happen.
Exactly.
But we're starting to see some signals that this zone, again, could get more active about a week to 2 weeks out.
And the thing with a lot of those long track models, and you're going to see a lot of this on social media, especially if you are a weather fan and you follow several pages, is where those models move through is the most ideal path for it to happen. Because whenever it moves inland, you start to get that shear, and hurricanes or any tropical systems don't like any shear. It's the exact opposite of tornadic development.
So what are the components they do like?
Well, they like warm water, they like wet, moist air, and so you get that in the Gulf, you get that in that ITCZ, the Intertropical Convergence Zone as well. And so if you basically follow this path right here through the two land masses of Florida and down there towards the Caribbean, well then of course you're going to have the most significant storm possible. But the thing is, as we head further into that forecast, I mean, that's what that exactly does. Right through that primed area where you could see something on the stronger end. This is August 13th, August 14th, and you can see how that just starts to circulate in, follows exactly where that warm water is going.
So this is 10 days from now, by the way.
Yeah, so way off in the future, but then it just enters the perfect environment to where it enters the Gulf, where of course it's warm and moist, and we could get some of that development. But again, this is the most picture-perfect forecast
the
model-wise.
best case scenario as far as development is concerned.
But if that were to go inland on any of these Caribbean islands or down there towards Florida, you're looking at a whole different scenario where that shear just weakens the storm, and I mean, you don't know how much time it'll have in the Gulf if it were even to enter the Gulf.
And so we'll leave it here, but let's just say projections get this to be a very strong storm system later this month. But again, we are looking at everything happening. If I were to design and check A, B, C, D and expect something to be a significant tropical system, I would present what this is the GFS model, which has a tendency to be the most aggressive. Tries to get something tropical developing and then maybe trying to move into the Gulf and maybe trying to approach us. Things will change a lot over the next few days, but certainly it's a reminder that this time of year, it's important to find trusted sources because it's really easy you could go online and search GFS model and be able to pull up at home anything you wanted, all kinds of stuff that we even don't show you here that will show you different crazy things. And so it's important to find trusted sources. Of course, I'd say that Mississippi Live Weather would be one of those. There are a number of news sources.
Opinion.
Hopefully unbiased opinion, and hopefully one where we can talk, yeah, I know, right? Hopefully where we can talk more extensively about these sorts of things. But we'll be watching this very closely. Again, we're about more than 2 weeks out from when this could get very interesting, possibly for locations around our area. And of course, between then and now, the Mississippi Live Weather app where we will have updates. There's a tropical layer on there where you can track the very latest related to Dexter and really anything related to the forecast. So appreciate you for tuning in and for coming alongside us. We also appreciate all of our sponsors for supporting us. And for those of you that would like to sponsor us, we have a pretty extensive list we're going through, but you can always send us an email to info@msliveweather.com. We'll see you at 10 o'clock for the latest live news information, and appreciate y'all for watching.
You need some help?
Your tow chains are a little loose. Could spark a wildfire. I could show you how to secure them properly if you'd like.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Anytime. You should check out SmokeyBear.com. They've got a bunch of tips on wildfire prevention.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.